Sports, a place where many athletes find success.
This is likely the final play that matters. End zone wide open. What a night for Mike Williams.
But where there's a winner, there has to be a loser.
He came a long way. You hear me? Come here, I love you, bro. Good.
It's one thing to watch the game, but another to analyze it. Let's talk about the numbers. You ready?
YouTube! What's going on, man? Back at you another video. It's your boy, Numbers Fan J. Y'all like my shirt, man? You know, I'm a huge Toy Story fan. This is my favorite movie of all time. What's your favorite movie of all time? Leave a comment down in the comment section below. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. If you're new, thank you for your view. Welcome to my channel. But anyway, we got a little bit of news to get into before we start into our last AFC West video. There's some news coming out of the NBA. Gordon Hayward is out 4 weeks with an ankle injury. Big blow for the Celtics here. They're up 2-0 on the 76ers. So who knows? Maybe the 76ers can pull out a game now that they don't have to worry about an extra wing coming off the bench or even starting sometimes, and Gordon Hayward, who we all know can fill it up. So I guess the good news for the 76ers, if you want to look at it that way. But let's go ahead and get into the final division predictions for 2020. I'm gonna make a playlist for y'all, so just in case you've missed my other division predictions for 2020, I have a playlist for you. So you can just go ahead and watch all of those, you know? So you won't have to go searching, you won't have to go looking around. Make the playlist for you. I'll leave it in this video. Leave a clip to it. Can't think of a card. There it is. I'll leave a card to it in this video for you to click on. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Starting at the bottom of the AFC West. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have to give y'all last year's predictions for the AFC West were completely wrong. This was the only division I got completely wrong, and I can admit I was a little bit emotional because, you know, my Chargers had a great year the year before. We were 12-4. I was feeling them. They weren't feeling me. But anyway, I had Chargers at 1, Raiders at 2, Chiefs at 3, Broncos at 4. The final standings for the AFC West were Chiefs at 1, Broncos at 2, Raiders at 3, Chargers at 4. So we were actually at the bottom of the division. And a surprising turn of events. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this video. Starting at the bottom with my cellar dwellers for 2020, the Denver Broncos. Now, as we just discussed, the Broncos finished 7-9. They finished second in division last year. I feel like they're going to be at the bottom this year. Don't worry, we're going to get into this. They were 7-9. They finished 3-3 in divisional games last year. 2019 offensively for the Broncos, they were 28th in total offense, 28th in passing, 28th in points per game, and they had the 6th fewest giveaways in the league. So although they didn't turn the ball over, they didn't move it very well. Unless they were running the ball, and even if they were running the ball, they were 20th in rushing. So they didn't do a very good job moving the ball. You can't move the ball, you can't score. 28th in scoring. Boom. 2019 defensively, the Broncos were your typical Broncos defense. As we all know from the Super Bowl run, they were all defense that year. 10th in points allowed, but they were tied for 25th in takeaways. So very odd. This team was 17th in sacks. Now, a Von Miller-led team being 17th in sacks clearly affected them being 25th in takeaways. But we'll get to that as well. Losses personnel-wise for the Broncos, Derek Wolfe had a career-high 7 sacks last year for the Broncos. He went to the Ravens. He was the second in sacks on the team behind Von Miller. Of course, Bradley Chubb got hurt, only played 4 games, unfortunately. So don't expect the Broncos to be that bad at rushing the passer next year. They also lost Chris Harris Jr., of course, coming over to my Chargers. Emmanuel Sanders in the middle of the year, remember, they traded him to the 49ers, who went to the Super Bowl. So, Additions personnel-wise, Melvin Gordon coming over from my Chargers, as well as A.J. Boye, the cornerback who played very well in Jacksonville. Coming off injury, of course, as I mentioned, Bradley Chubb, huge guy coming back defensively for that defense. Somebody to take the attention off of Von Miller and hopefully generate more sacks, because we've seen him do it before. Draft-wise for the Denver Broncos, Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama, absolute stud. KJ Hamler, wide receiver out of Penn State. Third round, they drafted Michael Ojemudia. Hopefully I said that right. I did the best I could right there. Cornerback out of Iowa. Lloyd Cushenberry, the third center out of LSU. And McTelvin Agam, the defensive tackle out of Arkansas. The bottom line for the Denver Broncos, they have a new offensive coordinator, and Pat Shurmur, who a lot of people aren't confident in, including me. He was a head coach for the Giants 2018-2019. Notice how that's only 1 year. He didn't have a very good stint there. He's been moved around a lot in the NFL, right? He's been offensive coordinator for me, I know him being offensive coordinator for the Vikings. That's where I picture him when I see his name. But the Broncos gave Drew Lock weapons, right? Looking at Drew Lock's potential, I don't feel like anybody's afraid of Drew Lock. That's why they got him all of these weapons, right? They gave him plenty of room to succeed. They get him another running back. You know, they go draft Jerry Jeudy. They draft KJ Hamler as well. So, I mean, they're giving him plenty of weapons to work with. They're leaving him no room for excuses or error. So we'll see what happens with him. I'm not sold on him. So we'll see. I don't think the Broncos will do very well this year. And that is because at number 3 in the AFC West this year, I got the Las Vegas Raiders. What a surprise. 2019, the Raiders finished 7-9, right behind the Broncos. They also went 3-3 in divisional games. 2019, offensively, the Raiders, 9th in passing, 24th in points per game, the 8th fewest sacks in the league, and the 7th fewest giveaways. So this offensive line took care of business, but the Raiders just couldn't generate enough points. They were 9th in passing and 13th in rushing. So you're moving the ball, you're just not finishing drives. Not a good thing at all. Defensively for the Raiders in 2019, they finished 25th versus the pass, one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL, one of the worst secondaries. 8th versus the run, 24th in points allowed. So this team, they struggled, to say the least. The second fewest takeaways in the league as well. So they struggled defensively, especially against the pass. If you can't defend the pass in today's game, you're going to be in the bottom 5 in points allowed, like the Raiders were at 24th in points allowed. Additions personnel-wise, Corey Littleton, the starting inside linebacker for the Rams for the past couple years, he's a tackle machine. He's going to get his tackles. Jason Witten, of course, the veteran tight end from the Cowboys. Marcus Mariota. Hopefully he's been brought in for depth, because if they're planning on starting this guy over Derek Carr, they're going to have a problem. I can tell you that right now. Prince Amukamara, another pickup personnel-wise. No real losses for the Raiders. That's why I skipped over the losses portion of this for the Raiders. Draft-wise for the Raiders, Henry Ruggs, the third, wide receiver out of Bama, another stud. That's 2 Alabama receivers that have now come to the AFC West, and I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of watching all these players come to the AFC West, and they're not coming to the Chargers. I'm sick of it. But anyway, another first round pick for them was Damon Arnett, cornerback out of Ohio State. Moving to the third round, they didn't have any second round picks, but they did have 3 third round picks, so stay with me here. 3 third round picks. Lynn Bowden Jr., wide receiver out of Kentucky. Brian Edwards, wide receiver out of South Carolina. And Tanner Muse, linebacker out of Clemson. Sorry. I almost said cornerback. Bottom line, for the Las Vegas Raiders, 25th versus the pass. They drafted 1 corner and they added Prince Amukamara. I just don't know if that's enough. I just don't know. You don't have anything sure right there. Amukamara didn't have the greatest year last year. That's why he was free agent. You don't know what you're going to get out of rookie cornerbacks. You just don't know. They drafted a cornerback last year in the second round. They still don't know what they're doing with him. So I don't know what to expect from the secondary if it's going to be any better. I don't feel like it is. It might not be 25th, but it's definitely not going to be top 10, I don't think. But looking at Amukamara, 31 years old. He finished 43 out of 112 quarterbacks in Pro Football Focus, according to Pro Football Focus, however they come up with these numbers. In coverage, he was 43 out of 112. So, not bad, but definitely not at the top, not towards the top, you know? Top 1/3, but not top 10, not top 20. He could have been better. Plain and simple, he could have been better. So, that's a huge concern still for me. Otherwise, the Raiders should be all right. Maybe another 7 to 9 year, possibly. Moving on to the number 2 team in the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Last year, of course, I was feeling it, man. I was like, I feel like this might be the year coming off a 12-4 season. Now we're coming off a 5-11 season. We went 0-6 in divisional games with a pretty decent roster. We had a pretty nice roster. I just don't see us being trash again. I don't see it. 2019 offensively for my Chargers finished 10th in total offense, 6th in passing, 28th in rushing, 21st in points per game, 4th most giveaways in the league. If you are a Chargers fan, you understand. Phillip Rivers was a turnover machine last year. That, combined with the fumbling Melvin Gordon as well as Austin Eckler, both put the ball on the ground last year. You can't have it. You can't have it. Defensively for the Chargers, this was the bright spot. 6th in total defense, 5th versus the pass, but 28th versus the run. 28th in sacks, and we had the least takeaways in the NFL. So the two teams I'm projecting to be in the middle of this division, the Raiders at 3 and Chargers at 2. The two teams with the least giveaways, least takeaways in the NFL last year. It's gonna have to change. It's definitely gonna have to change. You gotta get the ball back on defense it's gotta be more than just forcing a punt. It's gotta be momentum shifting, fumble recoveries, interceptions, maybe a blocked punt. It's gotta be more than just getting a punt 3 and out. It's gotta be more than that. My Chargers were the worst in turnover differential in the NFL. Again, I just don't see this happening for a second year in a row. Not with the roster that we have. Our players are too good for us to be this bad statistically again next year. Right, so we move on personnel. Losses. Phillip Rivers, of course, longtime Charger. Bittersweet. I rooted for this guy for years. But last year, he was the problem offensively, if not the second biggest problem, behind Melvin Gordon just messing everything up. But anyway, Melvin Gordon as well departed, like I said, to the Broncos. And Adrian Phillips, a playmaker for us in the secondary that started off on special teams making plays. He's a solid tackler. He's pretty good, pretty decent in coverage. He looked like he was getting better, and we just didn't have room for him. Because of this, additions-wise, we went out and got Chris Harris Jr. Great pickup. A guy that had a lot of battles with Keenan Allen over the years. We also picked up Linval Joseph, defensive tackle from the Vikings. Brian Bulaga, right tackle from the Packers. And Trey Turner, we traded our left tackle for Trey Turner, the guard from Carolina, the Panthers. I think this was one of our greatest off seasons in the past 6 or 7 years, honestly. Draft-wise, we drafted Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon. Traded up in the first round to get Kenneth Murray, the linebacker out of Oklahoma. Just amazing player. I think we did great. I was not expecting us to do this, but we filled another need here at linebacker. We needed somebody to help stop the run. So bottom line for my Chargers, we run better without Melvin Gordon. Let's just be honest. Last year he held out on us. Austin Eckler was tearing it up from the get-go. Outside of the fumble at the goal line in the Lions game, he was the guy for us offensively. So, running the ball, I'll say that. Second best receiving back in the league behind only Christian McCaffrey. Those are stats now. That's stats. So, also you have to realize that we don't have Phil turning it over this year. We're not going to have Philip Rivers turning it over. We addressed the 28th run defense, and we addressed the O-line problems that people just kept blaming Philip Rivers' interceptions on. Now, I don't have a whole bunch of problems with sacks, okay? If we're getting sacks, the O-line sucks. But if we're throwing picks, the quarterback is forcing something. Take the sack. I'll take the sack over the turnover, over the interception every single time, all right? But anyway, we also added depth in the secondary with Chris Harris Jr., and that's why I think we will finish second in the division, leaving the Super Bowl champs to return as the AFC West division champs for another year. The Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't lose a single division game last year. Just phenomenal offensively, especially 2019 offensively. This team was top 6 in virtually every category. 6th in total offense, 5th in passing, 23rd in rushing. That's the little standout spot there. 5th in points per game, 4th fewest sacks allowed, and the 3rd fewest giveaways in the NFL. Now, defensively, they weren't great, but they weren't terrible. They found something at the end of the season, and they rode that momentum all the way to the Super Bowl. 8th versus the pass. 26 versus the run is kind of concerning, but they were 7th in points allowed. So you can give up rush yards as long as you're not giving up touchdowns. We'll be fine, right? That's what the Chiefs are thinking. They tied for 10th in takeaways defensively, and this team also was 7th in turnover differential at +8. Now, personnel-wise, they lost Dustin Colquitt, the punter, but that was really the only notable loss. They also didn't add really anybody worth mentioning in the offseason, right? So bottom line, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Draft-wise, for the Kansas City Chiefs, first round they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back out of LSU. Very underrated running back. I think could take this offense to even another level, which is insane because how many levels can you go up? Right? Second round, they drafted Willie Gay Jr., linebacker out of Mississippi State. And ended this off third round, Lucas Niang, offensive tackle out of TSU. That's not their last draft pick, but that's where I usually cut it off, is third round. So bottom line for the Kansas City Chiefs, this team has a young core, very young core. And they didn't change the chemistry. They didn't challenge the chemistry in the offseason by bringing in a bunch of players like, oh, we need to fix this run defense. Let's go grab Corey Littleton. Let's go grab a whole bunch of... No. They're very calm. They've won their Super Bowl. They're very calm. And they realize, hey, you're probably not going to win it next year because last team to repeat is over 10 years ago. Last team to repeat as Super Bowl champions over 10 years ago. Team doesn't have a lot to worry about right now. They locked up Patrick Mahomes to the biggest contract in NFL history. I mean, what do you have to worry about? Now they're just out there having fun. They've been out there having fun. They'll continue to have fun because they're taking care of everything else that needs to be taken care of. So these are my predictions for the AFC West. Like I said, I'll go ahead and make a playlist for y'all so y'all can see the rest of my predictions. Don't have to hunt around YouTube for them. They'll be right there in the playlist for you because I got you. And I hope you got me. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're new. Thank you for your view. I appreciate you. It's your boy Jay. Ooh. We out of here.